India and Australia have several commonalities which serve as a foundation for closer cooperation and multifaceted interaction on lines similar to what India has developed with other Western countries. Both are strong, vibrant, secular and multicultural democracies. They both have a free press and an independent judicial system. Cricket and now the large numbers of Indian students in Australia for education are significant elements in awareness at the popular level. The Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is on a state visit from the 8th of March to the 11th of March. He arrived in Ahmedabad on Wednesday, the day we celebrated Holi, and participated in the celebrations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese witnessed the fourth cricket test match of the Border Gavaskar Cricket Trophy at Narendra Modi Cricket Stadium in Ahmedabad on the 9th of March. The Australian Prime Minister will head to Mumbai to engage with the business community. From there, he will go to New Delhi for bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi. India's relations with Australia reached a new high with the first ever visit of the President of India, Ramnath Kovind, to Australia on 21st to 24th November 2018. The two-way prime ministerial visits since 2014 gave significant momentum to the bilateral relationship. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi and Mr. Scott Morrison, the former Prime Minister of Australia, held India-Australia Leaders Virtual Summit on the 4th of June 2020, where the bilateral strategic partnership concluded in 2009 was elevated to Comprehensive Strategic Partnership (CSP). Apart from a joint statement on CSP, the summit also delivered 8 landmark memoranda of understanding in various fields. A second India-Australia Virtual Summit was held on the 21st of March 2022. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Mr. Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister of Australia, on the sidelines of the Quad Leaders Summit on the 24th of May 2022. They held a bilateral meeting on the 16th of November 2022 on the sidelines of the G20 Summit in Bali, Indonesia. Former Foreign Minister Ms. Marise Payne and Minister for Defence Peter Dutton met the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh on the 11th of September 2021 in New Delhi for the first India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue. A joint statement was issued at the conclusion of the dialogue. A Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue, the central mechanism for advancing the bilateral agenda, is held annually, alternatively in India and Australia. During the last 4 years, there have been a number of high-level delegations visits at the ministerial level. India and Australia also cooperate in various multilateral fora. Australia supports India's candidature in an expanded UN Security Council. Both India and Australia are members of the Commonwealth, Indian Ocean Rim Association IORA, ASEAN Regional Forum, Asia Pacific Partnership on Climate and Clean Development, International Solar Alliance, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, and have participated in the East Asia Summits. Both countries have also been cooperating as members of the 5 interested parties in the WTO context. Australia supports India's membership in the APEC. In 2008, Australia became an observer in SAARC. The India-Australia economic relationship has grown significantly in recent years. India's growing economic profile and commercial relevance to the Australian economy is recognized both at the federal and state level in Australia. As part of its efforts to develop a strong economic relationship with India, the Australian government commissioned the India Economic Strategy to 2035 to define a pathway for Australia to unlock opportunities offered by Indian economic growth. India is the 9th largest trading partner of Australia. In 2021, bilateral trade in goods and services with India was $27.5 billion, with exports of goods and services worth $10.5 billion and imports of goods and services worth $17 billion. The India-Australia CEO Forum was established in 2011 and revitalized in November 2014. The forum includes heads of Indian and Australian business to engage in a broad range of sectors, including energy and resources, agribusiness, financial sector, telecommunications, IT, education, and pharmaceuticals. The Australian Parliament passed the Civil Nuclear Transfer to India Bill 2016 on the 1st of December 2016, which allows that uranium mining companies in Australia to fulfill contracts to supply Australian uranium to India for civil use. The Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement came into force on the 13th of November 2015. During Prime Minister Modi's visit to Australia in November 2014, both sides decided to extend defence cooperation to cover research, development and industry engagement, and agreed to hold regular meetings at the level of the Defence Minister, conduct regular maritime exercises and convene regular service-to-service talks. India-Australia Science and Technology Cooperation was formalized through an intergovernmental agreement between the Department of Science and Technology and Department of Industry, Australia. Australia India Strategic Research Fund supports collaboration between scientists in India and Australia on cutting-edge research. Piyush Goyal, then Minister of State for Coal, Power and New and Renewable Energy, accompanied by a business delegation, visited Australia during 8th to 11th February 2016 to participate in the India-Australia Energy Security Dialogue. The number of Indian students currently enrolled for studying in Australia is estimated at around 77,000. Under the new Colombo plan of the Australian government, Australian undergraduates have studied and completed internships in India. The Ministry of Ayush announced the setting up of the Ayurveda Academic Chair based at Western Sydney University's NICM Health Research Institute on the 22nd of November 2022. An MOU in the field of tourism was signed between the two countries during the visit of PM Modi to Australia in November 2014 and was renewed in February 2022. Confluence, the Festival of India in Australia involving multi-city performances, is held in Canberra, Melbourne and Sydney. 9 artifacts have been successfully repatriated to India in 2020 and 29 stolen artifacts in March 2022. India is one of the top sources of skilled immigrants to Australia. There is a constant flow of students and tourists from India. India is the second largest migrant group in Australia. The growing significance of the community is reflected in the large-scale celebration of Indian festivals in Australia.